And we're going to learn a new way to divide polynomials. Okay. Instead of using the whole dividend and divisor, we're going to use the coefficients of the dividend and the actual zero of the divisor. So the first thing we have to do is set my divisor, x minus 3 equal to 0. So therefore, and solve for x, I get x equal 3, right? So therefore, 3 is one of the zeros of this polynomial. Well, actually, that's what we're going to find out. Okay, so what I'm going to use are the coefficients of the dividend. What's my coefficient for x cubed? A 1, right? There's nothing there, it's a 1. What's my coefficient for x squared? Minus 2. What's my coefficient for x to the first? Minus 10. And my constant? Minus 15. I have to have every single one of them. Okay? If I don't have a term, I'm going to have to put a 0 in its place. That's the only way for this synthetic division to work. Okay, going to bring down my first number, which is 1. I take 1. Thomas, quiet. Multiply it, kind of like what we did yesterday, right? 1 times 3 is 3. And then instead of subtracting, I'm going to add them. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Start the process over again. 1 times. Shh. DeAndre, put the phone away. Just put it away. Because you guys are distracting me. This, okay? 1 times 3 is 3. Negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7. Negative 7 times 3 is negative 15 plus negative 21 is good. Yeah, this takes a lot of attention because, like last class, I made one little mistake. I made a wrong sign, and it like ruins the whole problem. So one little mistake, you got to concentrate really hard on these problems. Okay, so my answer. I started with an x cubed. I divided out once, so that means I'm going to drop it to an x squared. So I have a 1x squared. This is a plus 1x and a minus 7 for my constant. And then I have a remainder here of negative 36, and I need my whole divisor, x minus 3. So here's my answer. And because I ended up with a remainder here, 3 is not a zero of this polynomial. Okay? Now, what do I mean by 0? Remember zeros, roots, x-intercepts, where the graph crosses the x-axis? Okay? It does not cross at 3 because we got a remainder. If I got a 0 here, then it would be crossing at that point. All right, let's do another one. I'm going to take my x plus 6, solve for x. So, good, negative 6. Yeah, these you could probably do in your head. What are my coefficients of my polynomial? 1, minus 1. Good, Aiden. And then minus 42. So I'm going to drop down or carry down the 1, multiply it to the negative 6, and I get negative 6. Add negative 1 plus negative 6, negative 7, multiply to negative 6. I get a positive 42. Add these together, I get 0. So I know that negative 6 is one of the zeros of this polynomial, or this x plus 6 is a factor of the polynomial, right? So my answer is, let's see, 1x, right, minus 7. Now I know that x plus 6 is a factor too because we ended up with a 0, right? Hey, let's FOIL this. X times x is, okay, outer, x times positive 6 is inner, and then last, combine my middle two terms. Wow. Fascinating, isn't it? Isn't that my dividend? See? Isn't that cool? Pretty wild, huh? It's Friday Fun Math Day. You learned something. Here's a math connection, right? Synthetic division and long division, and we made a connection that they create. We can tell if they're factors of the polynomial. Isn't that cool? You guys don't seem all that excited about it.
I'm excited.
Good, good. I'm glad. All right, number 6. What's one of the zeros? What's my divisor? Negative 2. Good. What are my coefficients? What else? Remember what I said. You got to have a digit, a number for every single term. Huh? This is my x cubed, right? This is my x squared. This is my x to the first. What's my constant? It's x to the first, right? I need my constant. Like this had a negative 15, this had a negative 42. What's my constant here?
Negative 9. 0.
0, right? 0. Who said that? Good job. Okay. If I don't have a constant there, I have to put a 0. By the way, if I didn't have an x squared term, okay, say this x squared was missing, I would have to put a 0 in for my x squared term. Okay. If you're missing a term, you have to put a 0 there. Otherwise, synthetic division. Well, actually, you got to do it. Well, you don't have to do it with long division. You get away with it. All right, so I'm going to bring down my first number here, which is 2. 2 times negative 2 is Negative 4, 6 plus negative 4, positive 2, right? See, I almost did it again. Positive 2 times negative 2, negative 4. Positive 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 9 plus negative 4 is negative 13. For a minute there, I was having a brain freeze because I was thinking of the mistake I did last hour. Negative 13 times negative 2. 0 plus 26. 26. Is negative 2 a 0 of that polynomial? No, because I ended up with a remainder, right? Okay, let's write our function here. Okay, I started with x cubed. That means I'm going to end up with an x squared here, right? My coefficient is 2 plus 2x minus 13. Here's my remainder, a positive 26 over my divisor. I got to go back to my factor, x plus 2. Okay? All right. So in the next problem, they actually tell us what the 0 is. It's negative 2. So we don't have a factor to figure out what x is. They tell us what x equals. So when I go to put it into my divisor, I just put in the negative 2 because it's solved, right? What are my coefficients? Good. All right, bring down the 1. 1 times negative 2, 2. Negative 5 plus negative 2. Negative 7 times negative 2. Negative 2 plus positive 14. Positive 12 times negative 2. And we better get a 0 because they told us negative 2 is one of the zeros. Okay. So I end up with, let's see, I started with a cube. So x squared minus 7x plus 12. And I know that negative 2 is one of the zeros. So they want all of the zeros. Okay. Fully factor it. So I'm going to set this equal to 0. Now we got all kinds of different ways to solve a quadratic, right? We've got completing the square, um, factoring. Um, what else? Oh, if all else fails, we got the quadratic formula, right? I'm going to use factoring, guess and check method. Only one way to get x squared, x times x. Factors of 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6. Okay. It's a positive 12, so I'm going to be multiplying positive times positive or negative times negative, which means I'm going to be adding the factors, right? And they have to add up to -7, so I'm going to use 3 and 4 with,
Negative.
yep. So what are my zeros? If you want to set these equal to 0 and solve for x, you may. Yeah, +4 and +3, right? So my zeros, -2, +3, and +4. Okay? Now, I have a delta math assignment for this. So let's do a delta math assignment.